In this tutorial, I want to start looking at Maven plugins. Maven can really be thought of as a plugin execution framework. Every task performed by Maven is actually delegated to a plugin or a goal within a plugin, whether that's copying resource files from the source directory to the target directory, whether it's compiling source code and then moving the compiled classes into the target directory, whether it's generating JavaDog, packaging up the compiled classes and the various properties files and resources, whether it's into a jar file or a WAR file, creating reports, generating a website to publish your documentation on. All these tasks are carried out via plugins. So if we go to the website maven.apache.org/plugins, there we can see a list of all the available plugins that the people at Maven provide. Actually, it's all the available plugins produced by the guys at Maven for the Apache project. There are a lot of other third-party projects out there producing plugins for Maven. A plugin generally provides a set of goals. Remember, a plugin can be thought of as just a downloadable jar file with exposed functionality. A goal represents a specific task which contributes to the building and management of the project. It can be bound to 0 or more build phases. For example, if we look at the compiler plugin and select that, we've got some introduction about the compiler plugin here. The interesting part is the goals overview subheading. Now, the compiler plugin has two goals. It has the compile goal and it also has a test compile goal. Now, we actually saw these two in action in the previous tutorial with the default build lifecycle, as the compiler compile is actually bound to the compile phase, and also the test compile is bound to the test compile phase within the default lifecycle. We can also invoke goals manually. All we need to do is use this syntax where it says compiler, and that's the name of the plugin, separated by colon, and the name of the goal, which is compile. If we go across to Eclipse, we can do that now. Okay, so let's select the project we actually want to compile with, and then right click, go to Run As, and then just scroll down to Maven Build with the 3 dots. Ignore the other options for now, I'll explain those a bit later on. And in this Goals section here, we can type in compiler, compile, run that. Okay, and what it's done, it's found basically one source file and it's compiled that and it's put it into the target classes directory. Notice, because we're running just the goal and not the compile phase, only that goal has run. This is quite an important point to remember, and I'll be emphasising that a bit later on in the course. Now if we run the same thing again, so we do run build 3 dots, compiler, colon, compile, run, it runs the same goal on the same plugin, but the results are a bit different. It says nothing to compile, all classes are up to date, which is exactly right, because basically the compiler's looked within the target classes directory and it's seen that the classes are already compiled and they already exist, so there's no point in compiling them again. So that's expected behaviour. Now, to force a clean build or clean compile, we can call another plugin, Run As build with 3 dots, and this time we want to use the clean, and the clean plugin and the clean goal is basically just clean colon clean, and what that will do, it will delete everything under the target directory, and then we can do space compiler colon compile. So we're actually running 2 goals here, the clean goal on the clean plugin and the compile goal on the compiler plugin. Okay, so we can see here that the clean plugin has run and it's basically deleted everything under the target directory, and we can also see under the compile on the compiler plugin it's also run and put the new classes under target classes. I'd just like to emphasise here that I would always recommend running clean before you run the default lifecycle or the build lifecycle. It just guarantees that all the old stuff has been cleaned out from the target directory and you're not going to get any sort of mismatch of old classes lying around from previous builds. Again, it's just another thing for consistency. Okay, that's it for this tutorial for introducing plugins. In the next tutorial, I'm going to look at the compiler plugin again in a little bit more detail. And one thing I want to show is how to actually modify the configuration of or the behavior of the compiler plugin and how to pass in parameters to the compiler goal.